Welcome to the channel, everybody. Let's get after it. What do y'all think that is? I've gone back and watched this about a dozen times, frame by frame, and the only thing I can figure is that this is just face pareidolia. That has to be a fish or something that's just opening and closing its mouth, and it just looks like it's a person's face to us because it's all murky and blurry looking under the water, and our brains are trying to fill in that missing information. What I can't figure out is how that reflection got on this video in the first place. It looks like, and again, this could just be an optical illusion, but it looks like a mirrored image reflecting off the underside of that dock, which just makes zero sense. I've never seen a reflection off of a piece of wood before. What are y'all's theories? What do y'all think is being picked up here?
A man was taking a video of a pigeon eating when suddenly the pigeon on the left seems to be chased by a shadow. The other pigeons around it see it too and frightened. They flew into the air to avoid it. The shadow then disappears into the grass. He assures me it wasn't a rat or anything of the sort. It was simply a shadow. Watch this.
Simply for the sake of argument, I cannot help but to point out this would be fairly simple to recreate. It's just unique in the sense that you don't see a lot of videos floating around showing bird ghosts, so that kind of makes it feel a little more genuine, because it's not the same old content. But it could just be someone with a great imagination and some After Effects skills. To me, it kind of looks like someone erased a bird from the original footage, put a plate behind it so there'd be no missing background, and then keyed that to the camera movement, and then digitally pasted the bird back in but lowered the opacity and added some blur. Of course, it could be real, but it would be fairly simple to recreate. This is a really unique video though, and it was nice to get something different for a change.
Right, I've got a bit of a crazy piece of footage that was sent in to me by a viewer called Patrick Rogers, and it was brought to my attention by DJ, and we saw this on the live stream earlier when they sent this over to me, right? Some of their friends were out late at night in Scotland in a place called Fort Williams, and they were rolling around the road because they all had a few beers and they're having a laugh, and on Snapchat it caught this apparition walking over their friend, okay? And it kind of glides along and it actively looks like it looks down above her, right? Let's replay this again, right? And look at it. This is actively moving and walking. It looks humanoid in nature. Look at it, mate! Right? What is that? And we did a bit of a comparison, and we were looking into this whole thing. I mean, Fort Williams, historically, has been renowned for wars and battles and all sorts going on there throughout history. And I kind of did a bit of a comparison with the surrounding area. Right, so here's the still image, okay? You got the apparition here, whatever this is. It's a humanoid figure, right? One thing to take note of, look at the right-hand side. There's a sign there, okay? And signs in the UK average between 2.6 metres to 3.6 metres tall, right? So that sign is pretty damn big, okay? And Patrick said that she is around probably about 5'3", 5'4", right? So this apparition would have to be roughly around the 7-foot mark, if not a little bit taller, if you tried to line the top of the head up with the sign there, okay? Insane. And then looking a bit closer, and as you look at the video, you can see the arm move. There's an arm here on the right-hand side. And I thought it kind of looked like something like a Knights Templar or something in nature. Like you've got the little gown, there's like a little gown over. And if you go through the video step by step, you will see it looks like something of like an old warrior or something. I don't know. People were saying it looks like an angel. There's angel wings on the back of it. It looks like a light being. It could be some sort of crazy entity, but I don't. Just looking at this again, I can't get over it, mate. I've never seen something so compelling in my life, and this is fully believed. This is not CGI. This is the real deal. Something was genuinely caught here. Okay, insane. And there's that theory where, you know, the veils are in realities are very thin at the minute. So rather than being side by side like that, they're in line. So things are crossing in and out. So it could be possibly a reason why we're seeing more UFO activity and other strange activity. Even supposed cryptids are being seen more often, and paranormal stuff is going on. Look at it, mate. Look. He looks at her like that, like, what is going on there? And then walks over and carries on. Oh, mate, you guys let me know what you think. I thought this is absolutely incredible.
I am going to also lean toward this one being legitimate. They may come out in a month or two and tell us how they faked it, but this one looks like it would be really difficult for someone to pull off. And just to be clear, whenever I make statements like that, I'm going off of my own understanding of how computer-generated graphics are created. I'm sure that there are effects that are much easier to create today than they were whenever I was studying this stuff like 10 years ago. But unless there have been some major improvements in user friendliness, that would not be an easy effect to accomplish. With all of the extreme camera movements that are going on in this scene, it would be difficult for your software to even lock onto anything in this and create the tracking data. It's the quality of the footage that makes me feel like it's highly unlikely that this was added post-production. What do y'all think about it? Hey, don't forget to click like and subscribe if you haven't already, and check out my merch store at berry-stepp.com.
The Parrot has an American accent, so... This was done in 2000.
I've been working for several years to train my parrots to understand and use spoken language appropriately. Due to their ability to communicate through meaningful speech, I discovered by accident that they seemed able to read thoughts. They would often describe vocally what I was looking at, reading, or even thinking that they could not have known of any other way. I had never done anything to try to train or reward them for this. They just seemed to do it as part of their expression of our bond. This was happening so frequently that Rupert Sheldrake and I decided to perform these controlled experiments to study it.
Amy's now taking one camera downstairs.
I want you to tell me. Hey, Mama! Mama! I want to show you.
That's the parrot talking. From now on, all the words you hear are the parrot.
You can put the chicken flour. See you later. I'm gonna go get take some flour. Yeah, you better. I have to fix the flour. You may go take some flour. My pretty much.
Answering machine noise. This is obscure. It's only, we'll have a close-up and you'll see what's going on. There's a guy's head out of the cab window, and that's what Amy was actually looking at when the parrot said, you put your head out.
Got you.
Can I have a kiss?
Okay.
I have a theory about what's taking place here. It may not sound sensible, But think about this. We all have this electromagnetic field surrounding us, putting off our vibes, so to speak. And some people seem to be tuned in to this ability to pick up on people's aura or energy. I've known people who could read someone like a book when they just laid eyes on them for the very first time, almost like the other person just cannot hide their true intentions. Then we find out that birds can read our minds, even without us having the intent for them to receive our thoughts. I think that right there is evidence that we are emitting some kind of energy that we don't have control over, and that energy could give away our secrets, exposing our thoughts and our true intentions. I mean, we also just found out that you tell on yourself in reverse while you're speaking, revealing your true intentions whether you like it or not a lot of times. What if these are parts of us that were designed to be a sort of tell, to keep any one person from having too much power of manipulation, a way for us to determine the real truth behind what someone's telling us? I don't know. I'm just trying to figure out why it would appear we are all walking around literally broadcasting our thoughts and feelings. It's just that no one seems to be trying to decipher any of it yet in any meaningful way. What do y'all think the purpose is of us being designed with these natural tells? And why are we not studying how to utilize this? Just imagine if you had a device that was actually dependable, that could read all of this stuff and report back to you in real time, letting you know if you're being lied to in the middle of a conversation. That would be one of the most valuable pieces of technology ever created.
In June of 2024, a group of ghost hunters begin exploring Old Liberty High in Ohio when they begin to hear gunshots. Now Jake and his friend were the only two on the property at the time. However, they're on opposite ends of the building, so they call out for each other. And after finding a safe place, they call the police. But that's where this gets even stranger, because this school is said to be haunted, and the police end up with their own encounter. Take a look.
I'm at the Old Liberty High School. There's shots fired. Please come here quick. Boy, stick it.
Thank you all.
Yep.
We go over here.
You guys armed at all?
No, we have nothing.
Are you the callers?
Yes, yeah, we are.
So what happened?
Well, we're
Back here.
we're in here filming a ghost video of all things, and I was kind of standing down here in the cellar, and it sounded like it had to have been like in this parking lot, just like 7 shots. So I ran up to him where he was up in the gymnasium, and we just heard like rattling on the door, and that's when we were like, yeah, we should probably call. The gunshots were all here. The rattling on the door and the footsteps were in the gymnasium, which is right over here.
Sheriff's office, security room, make yourself known.
Now it should be noted that all of Jake's equipment is still recording inside, as they were in a hurry to leave. And as the police move in to clear the building, this happens.
I heard something, and then I literally saw something. I saw it. Somebody go about it.
nobody in there, but there's something in there. Are you serious?
For real?
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean? What?
Let me just.
For real?
So right there on the second floor,
Yes.
we were looking this way. I heard pitter patter, like that, along that. What would that be? The east wall. Yeah. And then he hears it at the end of the hallway, and as I'm taking my light down, I see something go like dark across.
Are you guys dead ass?
Swear.
You have
And then
body
we were
cam?
like, no. But we were talking about you
Dude.
guys. We're like, let's just black out for a second. So we went completely black in there, and all of a sudden we heard movement behind us, and we just ran.
For real?
Because there's nobody in there.
Okay. Dude. No,
I watch this stuff on YouTube.
do you
Like
guys?
the Estes method and all that stuff.
Dude, that's what we do.
I figured
We have a
because I
we have
saw
a
the
channel.
share,
Yeah, we have a channel. Yeah.
What channel are you guys?
Spirit Stalkers.
Spirit Stalkers.
Yep.
I'll watch it. I've never seen anything like that before.
No.
That's actually scared me.
Good luck.
All right. Well. Great.
So if you guys need anything else or hear anything else,
Yeah.
preferably if it's a human being, let us know.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
Now Jake and his partner quickly gather their equipment and get out of there. But after posting this, someone had commented that her husband was one of the deputies that night, and that he still talks about this night because of how creeped out he was. I recommend watching the full thing over on their channel.
I know this doesn't show anything, but I found it interesting for a couple of reasons. For one, the gunshots were clearly real or they wouldn't have gotten the cops involved. And I also found it interesting how the cops enter this building looking for an armed man, someone who isn't afraid to fire off 7 or 8 random rounds in an empty parking lot in the middle of the night. So if I were them, I would have likely assumed that any movement that I saw inside this building was someone trying to take me out. But whatever they were seeing, you could tell that's not where their minds went. 2 armed officers in a dark, abandoned building in the middle of the night looking for what they believed to be an armed intruder. And at the first sign of movement or any activity, they both immediately jumped to the conclusion that something paranormal is taking place. Whatever they saw, it must have been convincing. I would also like to point out how hilarious it is that these cops are all professional talking with these boys, but as soon as they enter the building, not realizing that they're on camera, every other sentence ends with dude and bro. That's hilarious.
Diddys Bodyguard named Gene Deal, who used to bodyguard for him back in the day, as you can see in this picture in the background, straight up said Diddy is a demon.
But dude is a demon, bro. Dude is a demon. I realized he was a demon at Shine trial. And I don't care what nobody say, man. And like, when people still talk and keep on talking, if that priest ever come out and he talking, if people keep talking, you'll find out that a lot of that Gene Deal has said has been the truth and nothing but the truth. I was there. I was there when that priest or whoever he was rubbed that stuff on his head, put his hand on top of him, told him to grab the bird out the cage, the white dove, and he threw the dove in the air, and the dove acted like he ain't have no wings and hit the ground. Boom! That start walking my way. I'm looking like this, bro. I'm like, and he just walked past me like he didn't even see me. We going to the same place.
Now notice he mentioned a priest. Then he said something was rubbed on Diddy. Clearly that was oil. Because then he went into an animal, a dove, being thrown up in the air, and the dove was dead. That was a sacrifice.
I'm starting to think that the devil worship aspect of this case is the part that they don't want getting out the most. If it becomes public knowledge that Diddy was into all this witchcraft and stuff like Beyonce and all them are in, which it sounds like he was, then that's going to cast an unfavorable light onto anyone who's openly admitted to being involved in that kind of stuff, or anyone who may have been exposed in a podcast like this. I know that their biggest crimes in the eyes of society are their crimes against children, and I also want the people responsible for those crimes brought to justice. But the more I dig into this stuff, the more I'm convinced these people are not involved in these heinous acts just sheerly out of their own perversion, but out of their desire to destroy something that's pure and innocent because it was made in the image of God. And I know that there are genuinely messed up people out there who do this sort of thing with no reasoning behind it. But I think in regards to the reasoning that the elites have for being involved in these things, I think it's simply an attempt to spit in the face of our Creator. I've just seen too much. I just can't help but to see it any other way, as that's the reason why this seems to be the go-to pastime for so many of our world's leaders.
Because one of the things I asked him is, I said, I get it, but I don't get it. The children. You've got to, I have such a problem with this. You got to explain this one to me. And he said, well, first of all, you're looking at it the wrong way. I said, what do you mean? And he said, well, they don't define children the way you do. They don't define the world the way you do. The choices that you face are not their choices, right? They look at it completely differently. And I said, well, okay, so how do they look at it? And he said, for them, everything is defined by their one fundamental, all-consuming purpose. I said, which is what? He said, to defeat God, right? Because this is the moment. I mean, for them, it's about the real God. The true gods are them and Satan, right? And so he said, children are the closest thing on earth to God, because we are created in the image of God. And as you know, from the moment we're created, we haven't had time to be corrupted and to stray. So for them, the younger you are, the closer you are to God, the more pain they can inflict on God. So the more you can make a baby or a small child suffer, the greater your victory over God. And that is the only consideration for them. Outside of that doesn't exist.
I'll tell you what makes no sense to me. How are you going to believe in God to the degree that you're actively fighting against Him from the physical realm, dedicating your life to doing as much harm as possible just to displease our Creator? How do you have that level of faith in His existence and still choose to be on the wrong side of things? If they believe that God is real, and clearly they do, did they not read all that stuff at the end of the Bible that tells them how this is going to play out for them? Do they not see that it's already written in stone that they're going to lose this battle? Did they not see the horrible consequences they're going to face? I just don't get it. I know that some people have no familiarity with logic, but I just can't wrap my head around the reasoning here. I understand why they are doing these things, like what their intent is, but I just don't understand how someone could willingly choose the path that they know is going to lead to certain destruction. As evil as these people are, in that regard, I can't help but to have sympathy for them. To have that level of faith and still not make it into heaven, that's going to be a hard pill to swallow when the time comes.
I shouldn't see this.
Maui County Mayor Richard Bisson is calling for the police chief, John Pelletier, to be on leave after he was named in a lawsuit tying him to Hollywood celebrity Sean Diddy Combs.
But wait a second. Isn't that guy also the same guy that was in...
My name is John Pelletier. I'm a captain with the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department.
But wait, there's more. No, there's still more.
That is possible. That's what we're sharing here internally. That is possible that there will be many children.
You can't make this up, man.
I oversee the Major Violator and Narcotics Bureau.
Former Metro Police Captain is refuting claims that he was involved in a cover-up related to Sean Diddy Combs. In a criminal complaint, it alleges that current Maui Police Chief John Pelletier was hired to provide security for Combs back in 2018. It claims Pelletier posed as a sheriff's deputy in California to respond to an alleged involving Combs. The complaint also claims all defendants directly committed violations of aiding, abetting, and inducing the trafficking venture and trafficking of plaintiffs in this suit.
We got Jim. A look back at his history here with the department shows that he was actually praised for his dedication to assault prevention, which may be surprising for some given the allegations of this lawsuit.
So let me see if I got this straight. The same guy that was the commanding officer at the time of the 2017 Las Vegas shooting, which to this day is extremely hard to explain and doesn't make any sense at all for a mountain of reasons that I can't go into because it would make the video way too long, clearly seems to be a very that same commander is also the guy who was in charge when Maui gets hit with the biggest wildfire in history and tons of kids go missing randomly. And then coincidentally, he now gets named in the Diddy case as somebody who, while he was in Vegas, was over the major violator and narcotics bureau in Las Vegas, and that he was there for more than 22 years and is being named in the case with Diddy. Man, just these coincidences. It's just these darn coincidences. Well, it's sure looking like there may be a connection to the Diddy case, which is obviously connected to the Epstein case, and the Maui fires, like a lot of people were actually saying. But I am just a conspiracy theorist.
This guy needs to be investigated. You would have to be ignorant to believe that everything he was involved in was just a coincidence. And with the events that he's clearly been put in charge of controlling the narrative on, coupled with the details of what he was accused of doing for Sean Combs, it sounds like this guy's just a career criminal who just happens to work for law enforcement. And I think there's a lot of evidence here pointing toward this guy potentially being on the payroll of the federal government. He looks like he's just that guy who's willing to go anywhere and say anything in order to keep the American people in the dark. And I think it's also pretty obvious that that's why Diddy hired the guy. This cop knows how to abuse his authority and push a narrative. So the real question is, how did Diddy meet this guy? I wouldn't be surprised if it's revealed later on that he met this dude through somebody in the government. And if we find out who introduced the two of them, we may have our thread to pull on. We may actually find something out in regards to who might have been pulling the strings behind some of these events. And maybe we could even trace the money back and find out who's paying this guy. I can't help but to feel, though, that if anyone at the top actually cared about any of this, we wouldn't even be sitting here asking these questions. We should be sitting here today discussing the details of what took place and going over the prison sentences for those involved. But guys and gals, I'm going to go ahead and end the video right there. I hope you enjoyed these clips we watched together today. I'll be back soon with another video. I hope you come back to join me. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already, and check out my merch store at barry-stepp.com. Don't forget to drop a photo of your merch over in the Discord to get your photo in a video. But guys and gals, I hope everyone has a great, safe, fantastic rest of your day, and I will see you all in the next one.